Hands angle there, nice kick. He comes Jordan back with those hands again.
Yo, your boys are back again.
Hello.
2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row.
And we go like a guest that's actually in person.
I think we were talking about this last week, right? I think our first in-person guest since the before time.
Yeah, most definitely. So we're going on a good couple of years now.
Couple of years. Wow. And what a guest we've come back on.
Yeah, it's like he was on one of our episodes in 164, so you can check back on that. But a little bit of a rundown from there. So he owns Team Pinky Muay in South Australia. He also co-hosts the Ring Lovers podcast. It's Pinky.
Yeah, what's up, guys? What's up? Thanks for having me,
That's good, man. It's good to have you. And it's good to have you in person. It's a much better dynamic.
Sick to be travelling again.
But so you're here because there was a fight show on last night, 1774. Yep. You had Jason on. He versed my boy Kai, and Jason had an awesome performance.
Yeah,
it's like, thank you, and it's the Jason that I've wanted to see for the last 3 years. Like, it's finally starting to work. Like, it's I'm hoping we keep going from here. It was, I hope it's not a once off, but who knows? It's Muay Thai, man. You never know. Like if someone has an on night or someone has like a super on night, until they've had 2 or 3 of them, you don't really know if it's a But Jason practices what he's supposed to now, and it worked. It seemed to work. So
Has it been a little while since he's been in the ring?
October last year was a really lackluster performance, but it was kind of meant to be a lackluster performance. Before that was, I think it was September or maybe late August when he won the MTA state title. So
nice. And then hopefully get a good roll on now. Some other shows going to be on soon.
Might be fighting amateur boxing in a few weeks.
Oh, okay, cool.
Just to keep him active. And then he's fighting a Thai on the Kalamunda show in WA in July. I got 5 guys on that, so that should be good. He's fighting his first Thai, so
nice. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, great performance from there. Was it? I think in maybe one of the first exchanges with when Jason came in, and I think he hit Kai with a knee, and it's just straight off the bat. Kai is just known he's a little bit of a slow starter. It's like to get a bit of rhythm happening from there. Jason jumped on him straight off the bat, and just couldn't recover from that first knee, and it was just downhill from there, unfortunately.
It's the fight game. As you know, I had a good chat with Kai afterwards, and
appreciate that.
Jason's been on the receiving end of that stuff, man, and it's it is what it is, and the fact that Jason, before I went out there, Jason doesn't have a bad bone in his body. He's a gentleman, and I said to him, don't just go out there to fucking win, right? Go out there to do, to own him. Go out there and do what you fucking can. He goes, no, I'm going to stop him. And I've never heard that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, ooh. But the confidence when he said it, that was probably the biggest thing for me. He actually meant it.
Yeah, and it's like we were speaking about on the way here, when I was doing the interviews the night before, I had both guys, they got off the scales and they came to me. If you're watching the stream, you would have seen these. And then Jason interviewed with me first, and then while I was doing the interview, the opponent's just waiting behind the camera.
Yep.
So I asked them to say their piece on the fight, and their opponent's just listening, basically. Yep. So I'm always really interested to see, and honestly, it can make for a pretty... We talk about this in Muay Thai a lot. The guys have kind of an apprehension to say their piece, I guess, sometimes. Yeah, it was, we get, but in large part, sometimes they give quite boring answers for that reason. They're just I trained hard and it's going to be a good fight, and you get that 18 times. Yeah. Whereas, and maybe from kind of meeting Jason in the past, and his general demeanour, right, like you say, doesn't have a bad bone in his body. I was maybe expecting an answer like that, just that kind of generic. But then I said, how do you see this one going? And he said, what we do at Team Pinky is we do no research. I've never seen Kai fight. I haven't looked into it at all. I don't really care. I know what I do well, and that's clinch a knee. So I'm going to walk across the ring, grab a hold of him. I'm going to make his life hell. That's not verbatim. That's what he said. Yeah. I'm going to own a knee him. And then I was like, okay. And Kai's listening to that. And then that was just exactly what he did. That was coming. And sometimes you have to let the fight play out to see where that's coming from. And that was just a place of 100% confidence.
Yeah.
Like he was sure of what he was going to do.
There
and
hasn't
that was
been
the
a
difference
day
maker.
in the last 3 weeks that he actually hasn't been doing that in the gym though. Like,
Yep.
he was a shocker for getting in the fight to try and be a Muay Thai guy, but in the gym, trying to be a gentleman and just be nice to everyone, even the guys who were bigger than him, who he probably should have teed off a little bit more on, or ripped him in the body a little bit harder. Or now he actually tries to drop people through the belly pad and stuff, which. But he's also body wise, he's matured finally.
Yeah.
Like he's half Filipino as well, and he's man, Asian genes are Asian genes, man. Like it's a slower process to turn into a man's body, and he's just literally just coming on now, where Kai is still a young man, and you could that was the biggest difference I saw at the weigh-in while they were both
body difference.
stripped of water, the man versus the boy sort of thing, which I think that was a big part of it. Jason is fucking strong now.
Yeah, and big for that weight. He's got a lot of range and carrying some muscle.
Wait till you see him at 63 and a half.
Jeez.
That's a scary proposition,
What also added to that power was that fantastic haircut that you got him.
Oh, how nice, huh? So there was... I don't even know how it really started. Like, he just lets himself go a bit, where, like, he doesn't care what he looks like and shit. And I normally pick I don't normally pick, but I have something to do with their walkout songs, and most of them pick shit songs, and it's just all an entertainment factor thing. But the other week, I was like, man, we should just do like a really shit bowl cut for this fight, like put a bowl on, but on an angle, like on a dicky angle. And my original plan was to bring my Manscaped that I shave my balls with to do it, and then tell him afterwards my Manscaped. But I was like, I forgot fucking Manscaped. I fucking didn't have a bowl, so we walk into this Lebo barber, and like I was like, can you do like the shittest haircut you've ever done? Like, if you got a bowl, use a bowl. If not, just fucking do like a straightish line. So he did the straight line, then it was like started coming down. I go, maybe like leave the bottom as well or something. He goes, what about I leave a line of like hair across? I'm like, yeah, right, do that. He actually got the razor out and did it. So, like, even if Jason shaves his head now, he's still going to have a line. That's fucking great.
That barber's probably like, I'll do this, but can you do me a favour and not tell anyone it was me?
Exactly.
Like, people were coming in the store, like, it was like, like, it's a bit cliche, but it was like your typical, like, Lebanese barber, like, Middle Eastern barber, which like all the boys have got, like, fades and all that sort of stuff, and these young lads come in with their mullets and get a trim and shit. And Jason's there getting this fucking mess done on his head, and people just like in awe. Like, no one would even laugh. There was one dude at the other end, a Māori lad sitting at the other end laughing, and the rest of them were just disgusted that this was actually a thing.
A travesty. What I liked about it was that, like, because you guys' Moncol's quite big.
Yeah.
You couldn't see it until you took that off. So it was like, it was like a reveal.
Spray the water and reveal the shit hair.
Yeah. Oh man, that was awesome though. But like, let's talk about the event itself. So, like, for my end, not the greatest night in the office I've had. It's been a while since I've had one of these nights, but you just take it in your stride and go from there. I had Levi having his, like, I think, like, his first amateur fight on Australian soil. He had a couple in Thailand. He had a couple of development stages in Australia before that. And
he's a specimen, bro.
He is a specimen.
Like, I actually said when they were in the ring, I can't remember who I was sitting next to, and I was like, have a look at the body on this dude. Like, I saw him out the back, and it was like super lean. It's not
got
just
like a
ripped.
16 pack or something.
Yeah.
But he's actually like not too long ago, he was a paid model.
Oh, bless him.
Pictures of him on horseback and
they were actually
undies.
both good-looking boys.
They were. That
that's
was a couple of studs.
Big boys as well. It's like 80 kilo guys.
Yeah, fuck that.
But yeah, bro, Jesus, I only went one round, but Jesus, it was pretty exciting.
Wild fucking round.
No, like after that first one, everyone was like, "Oh, well, that's done." And then next thing, the other dude's on his ass.
Yeah.
It was like, "Whoa, this is like." How I'm having flashbacks of like Liam Harrison versus fucking
I'll die.
It's like, I'll knock you down, you knock me down. We just go back and forth there.
Yeah, it was like, man, I've fought heavy before, and the only thing that pops into my fucking head is CTE. Like, it's bad enough for, like, my normal sort of weight was like 72 and a half to 74, 75. But these guys that fight over 80 and shit, I can just see brain cells falling out their ears as they're getting punched, hey?
And Levi, to the best of my knowledge, he only walks around kind of about where they were fighting last night. Like he could probably be like he's not got much to cut because he is so lean.
It's like I think it was like about 3 weeks ago. I go, oh, let's get on the scale. What do you weigh? 80. I go, motherfucker, like. You meant to fight it at. He was like, oh, I'm just trying to say, like, that's stupid. Don't do that.
Yeah, no.
And just made him eat a lot more. And I think it was walking around maybe at 83.
Yeah.
And they got him there, and he goes, oh man, I feel better. I can feel like a train. I go, duh.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and the thing is with that muscle mass, like, one, you can gas quicker, but also you've got a lot more water held.
Yeah.
You can actually do bigger cuts. Like probably at 83, he'd probably be able to cut to 76 easier than he could from 80 to 76.
Yeah.
You're like,
yeah.
And if it's comfortable, like I think probably super middleweight would be.
Yeah, for sure. And he'd be a big super middleweight.
He'd be massive.
Yeah,
super middleweight, yeah,
for sure.
And then maybe just less tier.
I don't know about that. We'll work on his style a little bit. But Big Trev waved that one off after 3 knockdowns from there. But it's like the amount of action that happened inside of a round. It's like, whew,
it's one of those ones where people just like one's like, yeah, and then it's like they're like, oh boy, because everyone else is going, yeah, and it's cool, man. It's like it's entertainment. You know? And that's what we're there. Like that's the thing in this industry, we're there to entertain people. And if that shit happens and you're on the losing end of it, fucking who cares? You entertain people.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. As long as you're not hurt, you entertain people. You're there. You're getting some experience. Like it's not it's not for sheep stations. Good on you. You know what I mean? Like, it's on to the next one.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was good. Like, and like either way, how those two my boys went from there. Still proud of them. It's like we just move forward from it.
It's
like
part of the journey.
Yeah, everyone has their downfalls. It's like, and I think you, me, and Lewis were talking last night. Like nowadays, like these younger guys get put on a pedestal very high,
very quick. Yeah,
and then if you get knocked down, it just seems like a much bigger fall for them than it should be.
Yeah. It's that like it used to be. You'd lose a big fight and it'd kind of fuck your career a little bit. Whereas now, you lose a mediocre fight and all of a sudden everyone loses faith in you.
Yeah.
And you lose faith in you because you've got so much pressure on you from all these people watching you on Instagram. It's definitely a lot harder now than it was back in my day.
Yeah.
You didn't have to give a fuck. No one knew what you were doing until the next International Kickboxer magazine came out. Or on the forum, the International Kickboxer forum.
Yep.
And I never understand this thing when it's once one of these young guys starts to look pretty good for a couple of fights, and it's like you said earlier, Pinky, it's like it'll go like that when you're coming up, because you'll have a few good fights and then you can just have a pretty shit one of that. It's like if someone strings a couple of good fights together and then they especially if they take that step up and then they lose, it's like, told you so.
Yeah.
Fuck do you mean? Like,
because Panna, like my boy, the Panna Trader, he went 4-0. He was my first boy to ever go 4-0, but then he went 4-4.
Yeah.
It was like, because I've said about SA Muay Thai before in the past, like his 5th fight was against a guy who had like 13 or something.
Yeah.
Who'd beaten Jason before. Like, and that kind of step up, on like a few days' notice or whatever. But all of a sudden, you've had 4 fights, 5 fights. No one cares anymore in South Australia how long you've actually been doing it for. Like, at 5 fights, Panna was at a 2-fight level.
Yeah.
And he went 4-4 because all of a sudden he's fighting like the best guys at fucking that weight in South Australia.
Yeah.
Because no one will fight him anymore because he went 4-4. But it was like 4-4 in 3 months. And then went fucking 4-0 in 3 months, and then went 4-4 over 8 months.
Yeah.
You gotta you've got to be looking at the whole picture. And someone, as you said, it's easy to start, and when you've had one fight, you're probably going to fight another first timer or a second timer. And if you've got a better gas tank, it could come down to some shitty little factor that you're just fitter.
Yeah.
Boom, you won that one. Then your second fight, there's a fair chance you can get another first timer. Third fight, you can get another first timer. I've had one dude he's 4-0, but I don't think he's fought one guy who's fought before.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. The rest of them, they're all first timers, So it's quite easy to actually rack up some wins. If I take whatever I'm given. Like, I don't give a fuck who we're offered. We generally just say yes. So sometimes you're on the receiving end of some good stuff. Sometimes you're not.
Yeah. And it's almost like if someone goes, like, not all records and stuff are the same. Like being 4-0 or whatever, it's not like a hard and fast indicator of ability.
It's
And
not like it's pro boxing 4-0 either.
Yeah.
Like, and yeah.
It's almost like when you've got a guy that's 4-0, sometimes it's like you can't let him feel like that's a big deal.
No.
Because then when it comes to the point where they get the test, whenever it does come,
Yep.
like it might really feel like they've been knocked off this. Like you can't let them be on a pedestal to get knocked off because it'll hurt their development.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
it's a hard balance almost with guys coming up is allowing them to be happy and satisfied with each individual, victory on the come up. Allowing them to be kind of happy with the wins as they come, but not build them into something too much.
Not make that define who they are.
Yeah.
And this is the problem. Like a lot of trainers do make such a fucking big deal of a win, man. I don't know, man. Like I hardly ever make a big deal of any of my guys winning.
Yeah.
Like if it's a big breakthrough win, like Panna's last fight, for instance, he got flogged 2 weeks beforehand. Like almost got stopped. Just didn't even want to be there. Was like just a shithouse performance, right? But then he fights 2 weeks later, and it was quite possibly the best mindset he'd had. The best. It was just one of those moments where it's like that one there was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't pretty to watch and shit, but it worked, and it was the development he'd had in that 2 weeks was crazy.
Yeah.
Like this win for me for Jason is huge.
Yeah.
Because of what we've been through in our journey. Like, as most people know who Jason is, like, and he's had 22 fights now. He's 11-11. Like, but the one thing that's come out of it now is no one thinks he looks like an 11-11 kind of guy.
Yeah.
Like it's and it's taken at 11-11 to get to that. Like, and everyone's journey's different. The worst thing you can do is pedestal them though. Like,
Yeah.
Like, man, it was fucking amazing. It was their first fight. He gives a fuck.
And it's interesting as well when,
Yeah.
when trainers can kind of put too much stock in those like early fights and what their guys' records are and stuff like that. Like a guy like Jason, imagine if he had a trainer that, he lose his first three. Imagine if and there would be trainers that would be like, right, it's not for you, mate.
Yeah.
And then like here we are sort of like, dozens of fights later.
Yeah.
And he's now starting to kind of come through. Imagine if someone had said, well, you've lost 3 fights, you're 0-3 now. Guess it's just time to hang him up. And then all that potential that would have gone unrealised. And that's, that comes off of building up those early fights too much.
We were talking about his first win, like it was on you got semi-main or something, weren't you?
Yeah.
Semi-main event on that. You were semi-main event on that card, and it was Jason's first win, and he, like that was literally one of those breakthrough fights where he's like, oh, is that all I have to do? And that was probably like the first. This is probably the next step since then.
Yeah.
Like that was the one where he's like, oh, so if I out-kick someone, I'm going to beat them. Like that, he went from someone who'd never done anything. He used to just lift some weights at the gym and drop one of his mates off at the gym, like at our gym, and then come back and pick him up and take him home. And started training. Second session, asked him if he wanted to fight. I think 14 weeks later or something like that. And when he had that first win, like that was only, what did it work out to? I think it was like 8 months after he'd walked in the gym.
Crazy.
Yeah, and it was his 4th fight. But he wasn't fighting experience, but he had the fight. Like he had the fight in him. Yeah.
Yeah, and just like I'm really looking forward to seeing him now cruise through. It's like fuck. It's like really gonna keep an eye on him. He looked awesome.
I've actually got faith. Like it's always for me. It's like he was kind of like top of the C graders, bottom of the B graders. I believe now he's actually a bit of a force he can be if this continues. Yeah. He could be a force in the B graders, like around that 65 kilo mark.
Yeah,
like. We actually kind of got offered Ben Kant for him for that show in July, but then the promoter wanted him to fight the Thai. So which we never even, I don't think it even got mentioned to Daz in the end, but that was kind of like one of the options.
Yeah, okay.
And until last night, I would have been like, but I would probably actually let that fight happen now.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be kind of like Jason going for another step up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's fighting an older Thai, like a 38-year-old Thai or something.
So there's more of a training under his belt, and going on to the next thing.
Yeah, for sure. I can't believe he actually throws hands though. I think he literally punched in one fight before.
I was thinking that
when he fought Kian a few years ago. Now he threw some hands in the 5th round because he was like super close. So he just wanted to try and bomb him a little bit. He's actually got super heavy hands though.
Yeah, I could see that because I thought that was a bit of a difference maker. Was like firing back at like the injured section that he'd been kneeing and opening the knees back up.
Yeah, for sure.
Like when they weren't at that sort of in close, when they were at a little slightly longer distance, just kept hammering away at it with the punches as well.
Yeah,
yeah, it was nice.
Because that's his second like body stoppage. Like so, he never won by knockout until last September.
Yeah,
They're just piecing together now.
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah, so like hopefully I got faith in him because he's actually doing a lot of the right things now. So, and he trains the way I want him to. So it's good.
Nice, excellent. So let's just talk about like some of the other fights on the rest of the card here. It was going to the pros. Your boy here, Donald, was on the mic with 2-1. How was that? I didn't hear anything. So how was that experience?
Two stepped in to do the amateur part of the card at sort of late notice. Like I don't think that was ever the plan. I don't think anyone asked him to either.
Well,
I'm pretty sure I was there when it was mentioned out the bat when he first rocked up. But it was like, Aram was there.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, oh, yeah, right. And then...
Yeah, I mean, like he was all in on doing it. He really liked the idea, and it's the kind of thing that would suit him. He's got a lot of personality, and like he was really good. Like I'm not surprised he was really good, but I mean,
that was my first time meeting him, eh?
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah,
he's a good dude. He's like his very eccentric character, but I think which it was always going to come across well in commentary, and he's very experienced. He's fought some high level ties. He's had 80 fights or something. There's a lot of insight to give, but he also he just has that like I've never seen him like try something like this. He has a very broadcast ready cadence about him, and that's what you've kind of got to see. Like when someone comes onto commentary, they can have a lot of good things to say, but do they fit in a commentary setting, or are they just kind of yarning over it? But he was really good. He was funny as he is, and then just decided we're getting a roll on. So Don came to. It was supposed to be 2 and I for the amateurs, and then Don and I for the pros, and then 2 stayed as well. We did a 3-piece commentary team, which like I was honestly a little bit skeptical of, just because like there was only 2 headsets, which can be a problem, but we could hear each other, which was okay.
The highlight though was fuck, I'm going for a piss. Oh, fuck. Now turn the mic off.
Yeah, Don, you got to rein in a little bit.
Don's just going to be Don.
Yeah, Don's going to be Don. But I mean, it's like it's part of he's commentated every show that the borders have been open for 1774. Don's commentated. So
I'd
like,
love to do commentary with him. Eh?
That would be. I'd like to hear it.
It'd probably need to be like an R version or something. But it'd probably go pretty bad. But I'd be keen.
This is like, subscribe to the Patreon for the R-rated commentary of this show. You can switch between one of the two.
Yeah, he's actually like, people are like, oh, what's Don going to be like on commentary? But he's actually like very, very professional for
and
the
he
majority.
Is so knowledgeable.
Very,
man.
very knowledgeable.
His like memory of a lot of the Muay Thai stuff is crazy.
And when you've got fights like this one, which like one of the corners has Manasak and stuff like that, there's a lot of insight that Don can give that someone like myself just doesn't have. Like, just doesn't have the background. So it was really good, and I think where the 3-man team kind of worked well is like being able to throw to the guys, like, because for me, I think like my job in that setting is just like when something happens, give it to Don to explain. Like, what would you like? And we had a lot of really good moments in here because there were some great fights and some really close fights that like being able to throw to Don and say, if you were in the blue corner right now, what would you say? Like, I think that's really helpful. Well, it helps with the story, but also for someone who's a little bit newer to Muay Thai, having an experienced trainer there to be like, here's what I would say.
Listening to him do commentary, that is one of his fortes. Like, okay, this is what I'd be doing because as a cornerman, like it's not a lot of in Australia. There's only a few guys who are as experienced as him.
Yeah,
and his angle of what I would do as a trainer is pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely, and like he's and been in so many high level bouts in the corner, because it's like you could ask a trainer what would you say, but it's like if they've only ever cornered,
I would not just backhand them. I wouldn't say shit.
Yeah, so and it's cool because like like Howe is up from Victoria and stuff, so Don could offer that extra insight, and I think too is a fun kind of like wild card on commentary, because like he's really happy to give like a detailed take of here's what I would do like on the technical side, but it's definitely not stock standard. But so it's kind of interesting to just hear that.
I'm looking forward to watching
different
it back.
perspective.
Yeah, definitely. Look back at it would be pretty
Even
cool.
for me, like the whole, we even said this on the drive here, like having 5 fights on a main card.
Awesome.
Man, it's all you fucking need.
Yeah.
Like this whole 16 fights on a card and shit, like you break the show into an amateur and a pro show, have a break between them where everyone can put their feet up and do fuck all, and make it that, all right, now it's on. Change the scene a little bit, make it a little bit prettier, make it, dress it up a bit, make it more pro, and it kind of goes back to what was spoken like with Kieran and that, like pros, amateurs like amateurs,
Yeah.
Like, and you have 5 fights on a card, all really good matchups, like evenly matched or whatever, and yep, you got 5 fights, you're out of there by 9 o'clock. Like, no one's leaving super drunk where there's bullshit happening at the show out the front. Everyone's still sober, going on to have their little parties afterwards if that's what they want to do.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually how shows need to be, I believe. It opens the door then to have more shows, because not one person, one promoter has put 16 guys on, then no one wants to fight a month later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, smaller numbers of fights, quality. Man, pump the amateurs out. Fuck it. Have 20 amateur fights. But you literally give them the shortest amount of time to get in the ring, get it done and go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If that's the case.
get them on early during the day as well.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. And then when you have your pro card, 5 fights, 6 fights, no more than 8 fights for a main card. And then everyone goes home early.
Yeah.
I've always liked the idea of his like if you've got 4 or 5 fights and then they can all be 5 rounds as well.
Yes.
That's like a we don't have. I mean, like SRG was cool for this the other. Like they just have 4 pro fights, but they were I think like all 3s and then a 5 at the top.
Yeah.
What I would find really cool would be like a show that's a bit like an Arvo at Channel 7, like where you've got 4 or 5 fights and they're all 5 rounds. Like that would be really cool, and like all sort of like purposefully matched 5 rounders, not kind of like a.
But if you do have more fights, have your 5 rounders and then have like 3 rounders afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, 3 by 3s, have like a couple of them after the fight, after the main event.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, So then the main event, one of the most important things is the main event isn't going to fight at 1 in the morning.
Yeah.
They're fighting. They're your guys you want to perform. Have them fight at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
When it's a normal time, when they'd still be training, potentially. It's not train at 8 o'clock in the evening and fight at 1 in the morning.
Yeah.
That's just bullshit, So let the guys who are not so experienced be the guys that are fighting after when it's later, because they're the guys that are coming up.
They're on the graveyard shift.
Yeah.
But also, like, when you're going to put, like, if you're really going to build towards that more traditional, like, the main events last, a lot of the time you send the main event out to no crowd.
Yes.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Which doesn't make any sense.
Or no one hangs around for the fucking man. That's like that. To be a main eventer, you're the pinnacle of that show. Like so, you want the crowd there to watch you get your fucking trophy or your belt or whatever it is. But when it's 12 o'clock at night or whatever, as soon as that fight's over, all right, that's so-and-so's we're off.
Would you like some shows have done it before, and maybe one of the Perth shows just recently, like Domination, where you put the main event
100%.
like a little bit more in the middle of the card.
100%, man. Thai style. Remember the first time I went to Channel 7, so this was back in 2005. I'd been in Bangkok for like a day, and Stefan Fox took us to Channel 7. Go to Channel 7, main event, like, oh yeah, fucking sick. And then I was like, oh, so we sort of off now? And they're like, and these kids come out. I was like, oh, what's this about? Like, and they're like, oh, so this is now where the undercard starts. Like, the undercard starts. These are the guys who will work their way up to being last, then they go first.
Yeah.
So it's last of the the final 4 fights or something, and that fourth one, is then if he's doing good, then he goes to number 1 on the actual card. And I was like, that makes so much fucking sense.
Yeah, it does.
But, it seems that Perth, MTGP did it a few years ago as well.
I think like the reasoning there as well is like when they put on a big show because of the time difference to the East Coast.
Yeah, I think that's a great reason to do it.
Yeah.
But it actually makes more sense to do it for the
local
main
crowd
event.
as well.
For your main event to be at you want them to perform optimum.
Yeah.
So don't have them fighting too late. Yeah.
And it's almost like the guys in the main event are supposed to be the ones that have kind of put in the hard yards to get there.
Yeah.
So like, why do you let them
Make them suffer.
let them earn the chance to fight in the shittest
Yeah.
conditions?
But also, let them weigh in first. Like main events, get the main event out of the way. Like let them be the ones to start refueling. Fuck everyone else.
Yeah.
Like. You go backwards on the card for weigh-ins. I think that needs to be done too. That needs to just be the norm.
Yeah.
Let the pros get their shit out the way. Like get from the top of the card, like the main event, gradually go back.
Well, a lot of the time I know there can be like a legislative issue in New South Wales. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how it is in other places, but I know they can be really iffy about keeping the weigh-in as close to 24 hours, and so they'll want to run the bout order.
Very anal about that.
Yeah. But I noticed that the 1774 weigh-ins on Friday, the pros went first. Which I liked because I could empathise. Like I hate when I get to a weigh-in and you've got to wait for 50. Like you said, like if it's a show that's structured that way, have a lot of amateur fights and a few pros. I hate knowing I have to wait for
for sure.
20.
When they go, and first up is, and it's like, man, Joe Blogg's having his first fight. Like
That probably hasn't cut any weight
and sitting there, you're like, you're sitting there. There's the main event fighter who's like just cut 11 kilos in 2 days and going, fucking give me in the fucking scales.
And also like I've probably showed up and checked my weight in front of the combat sports guy as well. So it's like, I'm on weight, man. Let me eat. You saw it with your own eyes.
Exactly. All right, let's get on to this card a little bit though. So, so we did talk about Kai and Jason. So let's talk about I guess what was the first fight? The ladies' fight, was it?
Yep.
Suki Ho versus Tracy Alcindor. Alcinda's last fight as well, I do believe.
How many she had?
Like 18 or something.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, there's pumping out a bit where there was this group of those girls because they're just tiny.
Yeah.
They just keep fighting each other.
Yeah.
From there. So early in the fight, you guys watched the fights more than me, so let us know how the action went down.
This one was I actually thought Tracy had like quite a good first round. Like she came out and left kicked a lot. She was moving a lot, like a lot of lateral movement, and just not really allowing Shook to get settled. Like and I thought Shook's quite a pressure oriented fighter. Tracy was quite light on the feet, quite bouncy, throwing a left kick a lot. And then from round 2 onwards, I kind of thought Tracy abandoned that left kick a little bit. And also, Shook landed some... could kind of punch her in. And I found Tracy's probably biggest weakness was she was left kicking well, but really kind of falling out of it. Like she wasn't... Her positioning and her footing was not... She could land a good technique, but it didn't look balanced and strong afterwards. And then I think maybe this was the call from the corner, or maybe Chook just picked this up. It's like she would let Tracy left kick and just walk through it because it was opposite stance. She'd throw this nice right hand, and then she knew once she kind of had Tracy moving back, she landed these really good step up knees, and that to me just sort of completely changed the game from round 2. The first round was close. I thought it was a bit of a could have gone either way kind of round, but Tracy was left kicking nicely. But then once from round 2 and 3, Shook was very authoritative in the ring, just not letting that move, kind of testing that movement from Tracy, is not kind of just letting her bounce around on her feet, but actually smothering her and seeing if there was any sort of purposeful substance to it. I liked. I haven't seen much of Shook, to be honest. I know these two. I found out in the lead up to this fight that they'd fought twice before. With Shook winning both times. I'm pretty sure. But my first time I ever saw Shook was she was on the same card as me down in Melbourne in December. She fought ZZ, which was a pretty big step up. Yeah. Yeah. And she's a little tank, like good pressure fighter.
Just like a bombs.
Yeah, and landed some really good knees, and that kind of cut Tracy a little as well. Because Tracy can get a little bit a little bit wild. She gets quite open. Like it was like her fight with Darla last year. She would kind of lunge forward a little bit and leave her defense behind, and he's sort of there to be elbowed. Shook put a nice, I think it was like an upward elbow from her lead side off the back of one of those knees, cut Tracy, and yeah, did pretty well. Fun fight. Oh, good. Did you see this one, Pinky?
Oh, I saw about half a round.
Yeah.
It's like the lead up before the other fights. It's hard to kind of get it.
Oh, yeah, it's really right before you guys.
Yeah, I didn't realise the show had started. I was like, where was I?
Yeah.
Probably taking a dump or something. I can't remember. I actually don't remember what I was doing. I was like, oh shit, it's going, you know?
Yeah.
I think it was about half. I think it might have been like right at the end of the fight.
Yeah. Yeah, so Tracy's made the decision that she's going to hang him up now. So it's a fun 3-rounder against a familiar rival. And it was nice that she got to have her last one on kind of a home show because Ibby got to give her a little bit, handed her the mic for a little bit and let her have a little moment, which was, I think this was a little bit more about the moment than the fight. Just sending it off for her.
Yeah, sweet.
And
actually retiring when you feel it's actually the right time, not when it's too late.
Yeah, and she's happy. She's happy to leave it. And she had a busy kind of career across a couple of gyms, a little bit disjointed. So I think finishing it off, she's happy at Tidgeathon and good with where she left it.
Time there, right? Than anywhere else.
It's so hard to say with the last couple of years. Is it probably would be the most time there because, but 2 years of it was dead. I don't know where the most active time was. Yeah.
Ah, nice. Yeah, good fight, good standoff. So enjoys the retirement.
Yeah. Back to making pastries. She makes wicked desserts.
Nice.
All right, so going to another men's match at 56 kilos. It was Michael Zelensky versus Kehao Lee.
This was sick.
Yeah. I saw half of this fight. It's just like sick. It was good. Like looked like Kehao Lee just has that faster tempo. Always has.
He's just so
heavy
smooth
kick base.
with it. Yeah, he's not
awkward style. It's not what you'd call Muay Thai, traditional Muay Thai style, but it's not what you'd call kickboxing either. It's just that
like a
way.
blend.
The way he goes up with the left leg and then like the left kick and then sort of steps off, like comes back out of it and steps off. It makes it hard to catch him.
Definitely, yeah, and that's what I thought. Like Michael Zelensky, who is very strong,
he is.
Has like that kind of what do you call it, like that Dern style. It's always forward and strong, and maybe a little bit more static. Yeah. And Kehao kind of planned for that quite well. I think he was whipping those kicks up and a lot of movement where like Zelensky's just not sure where he is.
Yeah, it's like it was like 90-degree turns.
Yeah.
Like just keep adjusting to where Kehao was. Yeah.
And I think like where Zelensky, because he showed us some good strength when the two of them would clinch up, but it's just like he couldn't keep Kehao in one place. But it's funny, like I really like how he's just like a really funny dude to talk to, and he has this like, he's such a funny demeanor. Like you never pick him as a fighter. He's almost childlike.
Speak to him. I'll definitely own him. I would buy a person like that to have at home as a pet.
Like just super.
I've given him shit ever since I've known him, so it's alright.
So laid back as well. Like
He's not a fighter. Like as in, you know what I mean? Like he's not. He's not that type of guy that you'd think is willing to punch on. But he's tough as fuck too.
And he's just one of those dudes that like for some people it's about, I don't know, the challenge or there's really that fun. He just fucking loves it. Like, he finds it so fun.
Yeah.
And like I did the interview with him and I said, you're up. It was his first interstate fight. He fought in Bordertown once, but his first fight up in a real place that's interstate. And I said, okay, first time interstate, bit of a showcase for you, what's your plan? And he said, I was thinking of spitting out my mouth guard, closing my eyes, just whipping. And I was like, yeah, okay. But like, he answered like, so like he'd thought about it, like yeah, I'm so happy to be here. It's a big opportunity, and I think what I've got to do is
gotta close my eyes and
just wing it.
And then I kind of gave him a second to like, what's the real answer? And that's where he wanted to leave it. And Don said to him the night before, I'll give you a gold coin for every left kick you land. And then from the first second, left kick.
And he's gone broke.
Yeah. To the point where like you're watching this, like that's why he's throwing all these left kicks. But like Zelensky because he had a really good performance. I think both of their last fight was probably on the same night
hardcore,
on
yeah.
hardcore. Yeah. And Zelensky was,
commentary for him.
yeah, it was super strong that night. And just looked like he knew what he needed to do and couldn't quite. I also thought maybe could have, easy to say from where I'm sitting, maybe could have committed a little bit more. Because I found they would sort of, he was tracing him around the ring and they would, as you will in that kind of fighting at that cadence, they would sort of end up in the clinch.
Yeah.
And I thought he was pushing away a lot. And it's like, man, you're not having a lot of success on the outside. You're not the faster of the two. I'd be trying to lock down there. And
That for me, where he's at, where I feel Zelensky is at, is where Jason was at with the whole needing to be a Muay Thai, like especially in that situation, needing to be that Muay Thai guy, but not really committing to being that Muay Thai guy.
kind of got to know your role and just go for it.
And that's where we learned. Sorry to go back to Jason, but it's where we learned with his hands is in. You've got to have an in.
Yeah.
Whether it be a step up knee, whether it be a kick,
Yeah.
whatever it happens, you've got to have an in.
And that's a good way to put it. I don't think... I think there was advantageous positions for Michael, but yeah, as you say, he didn't have an in. And there was little bits of like... I thought, like, if I was... And I've made very similar mistakes. I think if I was cornering him, I'd say if you guys clinch up, you grab a hold and you take his posture, and then maybe when you separate, he doesn't have the gas to bounce around like that. Or just really knee him into the belly and bring you down to your level a bit. But there was a bit of kind of like they'd clinch and he'd land some good swinging knees, but then push away, where it's like you hold that until and make that statement of like, he can't get out here. But Kau was crafting there too, but it was also at that close range, rather than committing to locking up, I thought he was thinking spinning elbow and stuff like that, which he, for someone as dynamic and flighty as Kau, you probably don't need to start. If he's getting the better there, probably don't like spin with him.
You should have just done like 48 spinning back fists in a row. It works for Nathan Hamilton.
Yeah, maybe you should have tried.
It worked out well.
And then like what kind of Don said in the third round was like, you've got nothing to lose from just trying to march into that clinch. So, okay, you might get cut. You might risk getting cut or something, but you're 2 rounds down. Playing it safe.
Yeah, 100%. If you are 2 rounds down and your weapon is that clinch, you've got to try and find a way to stop them with that clinch in that third round. It's risk it for the biscuit.
Yeah.
Just wear whatever it takes in the face to get dropped going in there, giving it a crack. You know what I mean? Like get belted with the right hand, stepping in to try to get into that clinch.
But it's also, you get to a point where like Kau had scored so beautifully, but I don't think he'd ever wobbled Michael.
No.
So you could kind of almost be like, okay, let's chance it.
It's are you actually hurt?
Michael was the... What's his name?
Michael,
the stronger of the two.
Yeah.
Like, clearly not just... Like, once again, Kau's a little Asian boy. And like, he even talks about it himself. He's not strong. He's not physically big. He's not, it looks like a mismatch between those two bodies.
Physically, yeah.
Yeah, like you've just got to, like we said, you've got to have that in to be able to then take advantage of that size and that strength,
Yeah. Also, didn't really throw like he started. He had a big right kick. Like when it would land, you'd be like, okay, there's some power on that.
Yeah.
But didn't throw anything off his left side until quite late in the fight, and landed some nice switch kicks that kind of would have neutralised Kau's kicks a little bit if he'd earned respect for it. But then again, I think just the rhythm and the unorthodox footing and stuff like that, maybe just for Michael is a guy who has that very straightforward style when someone's not playing that game with you, and you can kind of make it work. He was probably making it work against Michael a little bit. Yeah. Just like, follow me here and kick and move. And I think he's one of those dudes, Kau, like he gets dangerous as he starts to have fun.
Has fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can see him smiling and like, or just trying some shit out. Like,
I'm just going to do something totally fucking different.
Yeah. I was talking to Greenie before this fight, and I said, I think this could be the show stealer. Because I thought, just given it was one of the ones with the interstater. And
I think that was our conversation at dinner, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. I thought that was one of the fights that could... And I think it did. If for nothing, it's just Kau's performance. Because he was a bit of an unknown to the crowd, at least. It's like he wasn't one of the locals. And he told me as well in his interview, now that he's fought in Sydney, his goal is to fight in Queensland. So
Okay, cool.
So a step down.
He's like, what a girl.
So no, it's just like he wants to get out and
have a feel everything.
I think that was a good fight to get that opportunity. I'm sure there's guys for him to
He
fight.
was supposed to be on Domination. That one where it got locked down. Locked down. I can't remember.
Well, he had a string of like bad luck for a long time. There was a lot of COVID related stuff.
For him, he's like he started out. I was there for his first 2 or 3 fights, and it was like next big thing.
Yeah.
And then it kind of plateaued, where he had like a couple of average performances. Then he got like belted by a Van, which was way too big for him.
That fight was that was back and forth. That one,
title. Yeah, like that was just like way out of his depth, weight division wise. That was just too big. And then, like he fought in Bordertown, fought a guy from Lana, young lad from Lana.
Yeah.
But he's like I've literally seen his whole career now, and now he seems to be back to where he started. Like back to where, like on that roll again, on that having some rhythm.
And it comes back to the conversation we opened with. It's like maybe now he's just like maybe there was no need for him to be the next big thing when he'd had 3 fights. Yeah. But now that he's been tested in this way, like you're like, okay, now there's reason to be like, okay, let's send him out there and I'm like this is one of those fights where like I've seen most of his career too, but I thought this was like okay, let's see what he can do against.
Yeah, for sure.
The higher
I want to see him like a few more 5-rounders because I do think. He starts having fun in the final round, like so. All right, start having fun in the third, so you can have 2 more rounds of having fun.
Hey, he's a featherweight, right? He's
57. Yep.
This fight.
55.
Oh, he's
55.
Okay.
Yeah, he's little. Yeah.
Small. But he took away the points win, and just hopefully get to see more fights of him pretty soon and just string him together. So going into the title fights now. So it was the WBC state title, Nathan Jones Jr., the champion, versus the contender Justin Shin, which we didn't see much of. But at the end of it though, like after I saw Justin Shin's fight, I go, I like this guy. I want to see him fight a bit more.
Yeah.
And I think Nathan Jones also, he had a good showing after a couple of losses that like you kind of saw like it turned it up on him a lot more.
To me, that was way too easy for Nathan Jones. Like it was actually the only thing that made it look like it might not have been was the cut.
The cut. Yeah.
And it actually looked like he at not one point in that fight was not owning it. It was I've never seen him fight live. Like I think I've seen him fight once I've seen him lose once. But I've never seen him fight live, and to me,
he's really good.
He's good.
Yeah, he's really, really good.
Yeah, like not from a gym that would, have like what you'd say like a traditional style as far as like
they've got an MMA team.
And but man, like his swing back and his replies and his closing the distance to land that rear elbow and stuff. Like he's actually really impressive, man. I like this kid.
Yeah, I first saw Nathan fight as an amateur.
Yep.
And I was a fan of him right away.
Yeah, cool. Just because he's a ranger.
Yeah, because us rangers have to stick together.
Stick together.
Yeah, like when actually, my favourite fighter, before I had fought, like when I was in high school, was Gary Patterson.
Oh wow, yeah, another ranger. Another ranger.
Who I chatted to last night. But I remember thinking the same thing as like I understood, and I was probably a bit wrong at the time. Like when this was coming out, I thought Nova was like an MMA gym. And I'd seen pad work videos of him and stuff. And I was like, no, that's like a real solid, like fundamental Thai style. And left-handed as well. And a good Thai style southpaw, like that big left kick.
Yeah. And power, like power.
Powerful,
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching him, mate.
Yeah, I think that's become a really, really exciting weight class. Like when we let the Roots 8-man play out in a fortnight's time, there's probably a lot of potential opponents in there. I think a lot of those guys, Nathan's probably... Well, I think there was supposed to be some interstaters in the 8-man and dates.
Hannah was supposed to be in it.
Yeah.
And then they got too many nominations in Victoria. So.
Yeah, and I like the idea of like Roots as the developing sort of platform. I think it's cool to do a Victoria.
In the state,
find the next
Don't
gen.
replace it with an interstater if you have to.
And I think like maybe most of the guys in that bracket, Nathan's probably like an experience level above, but I think you come out of one of those at a different experience level than you came in, right?
Yeah, for sure.
3 fights.
Him versus Isaac Tomlinson would be...
Does that weight make sense?
Because I'm pretty sure Isaac was still fighting 61, and but this fight was at 63 and a half,
This
right?
is 63 and a half,
And
yeah.
Isaac just fought at 63 and a half on hardcore.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, I think that'd be a quality matchup.
Yeah, and you know, you got...
I do want Jason to fight Nathan now.
I like that too.
Yeah, it's good fun.
It's just there's good. There's like I really think you know, this is the reason. This I'm sure is the reason why that's where the 8 minutes is, stuff like that. Like, there's been a lot of talk of like a lot of divisions that in the past were known to have all the superstars. Like junior middleweight's a good example. It had all the stars for a while, and now it's in that place where it's like, who are the, you know, it's emerging again. Where I think the next weight class that's gonna be just where the stars are is 63.5.
100%.
I think that's where the young up and comers are.
Me growing up, it was like 70, 72 and a half, 76 was like where it was all at. Man, getting no one in those fucking weight divisions anymore. Now it's all 61, 63, 65, 67. Like the 65 is the best non-weight division ever.
It is the best non-weight division ever.
You know what I mean? Like have like the Rebellion 8-man.
Or was that 65?
Was that 65?
Yeah.
Like it's the best non-weight division. And some people like Jason, that's his optimum weight.
Yeah.
You know, like 63 and a half, he has to starve himself a bit. 67, it's just that little bit too big, you know?
Those weights are interesting, like 63.5, 67, 70, because they don't sound that, or 69.85, whatever it is. They don't sound that far apart, but you really can, there can be a real difference between, because like for me, like I make 70, or junior middleweight, super welter, whatever, you know, the weight class.
Yeah.
I make it really comfortably. I could never make the one below it. I mean, maybe I could, but it wouldn't be a good idea.
It wouldn't be nice.
But then again, I'd
you're
also
not a big 70.
Yeah, and then I'd also
you'd
be quite
a massive
small.
67.
Yeah.
Like you'd probably be a massive 67, like width-wise.
Yeah,
Like-
and would be quite small at middleweight too.
Yeah,
so you
yeah.
feel like these weight classes are just pick. You know, you can and like when you get a little bit heavier, like guys have always bounced between super middleweight and light heavyweight.
Yeah.
Like most guys will do both. Like, you know, even George Mann, he's a career super middleweight and he's going to defend his light heavyweight world title next.
Yeah.
And they're quite far apart. That's basically 76 and 80.
Yeah.
Whereas like these weight classes that are only 2.5 apart, down a little bit lower, like you have your weight class. Like the next one up's too heavy, and it's interesting. Interesting the way it kind of goes. And some of these guys.
I'm a big one for save the weight divisions for title fights.
Titles, yeah.
Like it's how it's done in Thailand. It works, you know. Everything's catch weight. All right, what's this guy's optimum weight? What's this guy's optimum weight? All right, they can meet at 63 and a half or whatever, you know.
I mean, I've always understood having weight classes just to take out the negotiation from it. In that, like, okay, my guy is a super welterweight. Who's a super welterweight? And not like
for sure. Because trainers are wankers, like a lot of them, and they it's like. If it's said it's at a weight division, I understand it saves a lot of hassle for promoters. It saves a lot of hassle. Oh no, but you said 68 and we said 67 or whatever. You know, like if it's you're fighting at whatever weight at weight division, that's what it is. Yeah, like whatever you want to come in between those those numbers, do it.
Yeah, yeah. I think it can be easy. And then like as far as when we talk about saving weight classes for titles, 65 is a good example. If a guy's fought his whole career at 65. When he's ready and it's like, okay, he could be the next challenger for the state title, which state title does he fight for?
Yeah.
You know, like is he in line for the 67 kilo title or 63.5 one? I guess it's in terms of building rankings. It can be, it's harder, not that anyone tries, it's harder to rank everyone if people are fighting at catch weights all the time. Yeah, but I mean, maybe you let like demand settle where you do the rankings. You do a really good 65 kilo rankings. Like, there's no need to think of it as hard and fast weight classes.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Yeah. So this fight, like, put Nathan back on the winning trail again.
Yeah, I was really impressed with him.
Yeah, and I thought, like, I went and ran along from my test to go and wish him luck, and I don't know, like I just saw something in Nathan's eyes. Sometimes you know when you just like. You come across, I mean, I guess it's most noticeable when they're not in that place. Like you see a fighter you've seen a lot and the eyes aren't quite there and you go, fuck, this could be a rough one. This was one where I went and I had just a quick word with Nathan. You could feel in his fucking demeanour that he wasn't going home the loser of this fight.
For sure.
He was ready
I felt
to.
that we were like right next to him in the change rooms the whole time and it was pretty obvious that he was going to win that fight.
Yeah, when I talked to him the night before, he said, obviously he had a couple of disappointing ones. He had that, and like had a couple of like I found like the Josh McCullough fight like super impressive by Josh, but it was that like kind of just got caught, you know. Like there's no, I don't think he got. I don't want to take away from Josh either. He landed a kick on the buzzer. But it was like, from how that fight was playing out, it's not like you felt like he was soundly out skilled. It's just, but it's one of those ones that can be really hard to come back from.
What weight was that at?
That was at 62. Okay. 62.5.
Yeah, it was like
maybe.
catches.
Yeah, a little bit. Because Josh McCullough is a bit
smaller.
smaller. Yeah, he'll do 59.
Because Nathan can fight at 61, is that right?
He has in the past, but he's a young dude. I don't know if he's...
Yeah, he's just like, he's pretty solid nowadays.
Yeah,
he's
he
kind of
looks a
grown
bit
into that
bigger.
man body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just had some disappointing ones in a row, and I think that's can be a scary place to be to come in as a defending champion. You know, like it's hard mentally, and like I asked him that when I did the interviews, and like he really owned up to it. Like, yeah, I feel my back's against the wall, but it's my belt, and I want to keep that status. And yeah, like you say, Pinky, I don't think he was. I think he's got that. He's a real fighter. In that, sometimes maybe he fights when he doesn't have to.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, he could have
That's the rang.
Yeah, that's
I've got to show that I'm tough.
yeah.
That's what
Getting
Rangers do.
in random fights.
In that, like, and that's probably what got him cut, to be honest.
Yeah.
And you know, Justin's super game as well. So like, he was trying to snatch it back where he could.
Yeah,
but
he had no fear. Like
no fear.
Yeah.
And Nathan, there were times when I felt this fight was at the place where it's like, okay, it's time for you to just left kick and teep.
Yeah.
You're winning
Yeah,
there.
stop fighting.
Yeah. Like, let him try and fight you, and you keep him at bay and score your points. But he just, I mean, fair play to him. He wanted to keep. Like, he wanted to fight it. Like he kept throwing these big, like, aggressive punch combinations. Like, and that's what really where Justin kind of wanted him. Like, he's just sat there and threw them and got the better of a lot of them too. Yeah. But yeah, I thought a bit of a power differential through a lot of that fight. That big left kick from Nathan, especially through rounds 2 and 3, was given, because Justin was kicking a lot too, but didn't have as much like authority on it.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think Justin was like very, very, very high, or like on the balls of his feet, and quite light. And that's where it's like,
Is that gym a kickboxing gym?
more of a kickboxing.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because this was Justin's second fight, first Muay Thai fight back in Australia after he went to Thailand for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or for some extended
He
stint.
just fought on. Did he fight on power play?
He did.
Yeah.
Fought Indigo Boyd.
That's
K1 rules.
right. That's
Yeah. So this was his first Muay Thai fight. And looks to be, you know, had nice elbows and did some good work in the clinch too. So I'd say looks like a preferential Thai boxer. But yeah, you could see a bit of a kickboxing influence, which is like they have like a mixed K1 MMA oriented kind of team at Legend. So yeah, good one to watch though. Very and like especially when you know, Justin just kept himself in just enough. You know, got that cut. I think the cut, to be honest, looked worse than it was. Like it was and you know, us pasty dudes, like when we bleed, it's very.
you get a teep at the belly and you look like you've been hit with a sledgehammer. Like,
Yeah.
the white skin just goes pink.
Yeah, I mean, even like Nathan's ribs were showing a bit of like bruising. I don't think he got like.
No, I don't think I heard at all. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like that's trouble when you have that complexion. Is like if the judge is giving you the eye test as far as like looking for body damage, you will always lose. Like I'm probably bruised up from Aram slapping me in the corner.
That sounds exactly.
Yeah.
Round 2, isn't it? Round 2 is the slapping round.
Yeah.
Back up.
Oh man, can be quick. Depends if you're listening.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a sick fight. I'll be interested to see where, you know, I was kind of liking the re-entry of Tyson Harrison into that weight class, but he's back in Thailand now.
Speaking of big dudes.
Yeah.
Massive.
Yeah. Scary big 63.5.
Yeah,
But that would be a fun one.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's back in Thailand.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, is he?
Okay.
I heard that. Don said that last night.
Okay. Fair enough then.
Yeah, but a lot of fights at that weight.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good weight class.
And like I think he's really emerged as sort of one of the stars at 1774. Nathan Jones have invested in him, and he's been delivering him, but of course not giving him easy fights either. Yeah, giving him hard tests, and you know.
Yeah,
course.
he's coming up trumps each time. He's the champ now.
Yeah.
2 times. Defended his belt.
Yeah, man, you're a legit champ once you've defended it. Yeah.
And that's what I like about, you know, Aram and Greeny, their heads are in the right place as promoters. That's what they want to do. They want people to win titles and defend them and have their guys. And they've got some really cool ideas for how to build like a stable of 1774 fighters, which like it's going to be sick. And
it's like you've got your rebellion fighters.
Yeah.
And
then like when each show has their own fighters, the kind of exchange becomes easier
it's
too.
like that's how it works in Thailand. Like where everyone's got their contract with their show. The last boxing show, I don't know whether you watched it, where Sangatit, like my little brother, fought, like fought that old dude. That was like crossover between Pet Indy and the fighter promotion.
Yeah.
Like that's the first cross boxing show they've had, and it works. Like it means you've got your Siam to Sydney guys, you've got your 1774 guys, and then it's like they have a little competition. It's cool.
That's
the
good idea.
promoters work together where they go, man, who have you got in this pool of, and who have you got in this pool? Like what matchups can we make out of this? Or, I've had to pull out. Who have you got at 63 and a half?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
And it's a little bit less like you're not just working with every individual trainer for who their pools of fighters are. It's like you can reach into like the promotional pool. Yeah, it's cool. And it's kind of the way it goes informally, but there are ways to sort of lock that down. Everyone has their sort of preferential shows.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I'm keen to see what they are, who they bring out for Nathan Jones next, because I think he's starting to. Obviously, he had like a couple of rough ones. But if you look at like his career as a whole, where it's at right now, I think starting maybe to get to that upper level.
I think they're asking for us for October.
Yeah? I like that.
That's a good fight.
Yeah,
make it happen.
As I said, I was impressed with him.
So going to the last fight of the night now. So this was a world title fight that like came together like only at the last moment type of deal.
Yeah.
You have a champion already in Kim Townsend in the weight division below. Yep. And then you have the English girl Lisa Bailey that just recently came over as well. And this fight, how did you think like the narrative play out? Was it like a pretty close battle? Was it the Kim show? How did Lisa look?
We had a little chat about this right after. I was on the commentary, and like I thought the score went the right way. Yep. The score I was expecting here came out, but I was so shocked when I heard 50, 45, 50. I think the scores were 50, 45, 50, 46, 50, 47. And then I was just like, whoa, was that like, because I was on, and maybe if you were listening to the commentary, it might have sounded like I was disagreeing, but I wasn't. I was just like, so interesting, and we've talked before about the concept of like I have no concept of where the scores were at while I'm commentating. Like it's super different.
Yeah, for sure.
And so for me, sitting there just talking people through it, I saw both sides have so many moments, like take the momentum that the idea. And whenever like I looked at who was judging, they're good judges were on this fight. When I hear 50, I'm like fuck. So like Lisa really didn't around because she started left kicking so nicely through like the middle part of this fight that is just and tells you how ring savvy Kim Townsend is, that she never let one round get stolen away. There were probably some drawn rounds, but never let that advantage go. And I think the biggest thing that might have been shocking to the Lisa Briley corner could have just been the strength. Like I don't think you understand it till you feel it. And they'd clinch up and Lisa would be doing the right things, but Kim would say, nah. And
what I found was weird, like the first round, sitting there, I was like, they got in the clinch the first time and Lisa just looked so much bigger and stronger, right? And I was like, oh, I think this is going to be a size issue.
Yeah.
Like, I think this is actually going to be the problem. And then the second round, when they got in the clinch, next thing, Lisa was all over the ground. I was like, whoa. Like,
and that was the story of the fight.
Yeah,
right?
like I was not expecting that. I've known Kim for a super long time. We're good mates. Like, I've watched her fight. I've cornered for her. I've cornered for everyone. But I thought it was going to be her. It was going to be like skill versus size as such. Lisa's impressive, man. I love she's man. I love a good Waiku run Muay.
Her run Muay was so nice.
Stunning. And but enjoying it. Man, she's smiling during the fight.
Yeah,
I love that
like
shit. That's a serious fucking fight.
Yeah.
But she's smiling like through it. I loved it. Like she's entertainment. She's really slick. She's not she's very impressive. The thing is, Kim's like just super experienced, tough, got a head on her shoulders.
Yeah.
Like, she's been around. Like, she's like, you know, in her mid-30s or whatever. Sorry, Kim. But
Sorry to out you.
Yeah. But it's like, you know, she's not a sprung chuckin'. She's in there again. That's the thing with her. You know,
Yeah.
I'm doing it again.
Yeah.
And she knows how to play the game. But she's on top of that super strong.
Strong, yeah, and that's a difference maker. She's just so physically
And there's
strong.
not a lot of strong girls.
Yeah.
Like, there's not. But when they are, it's hard to beat them. Like, she could probably go up another weight division and probably put in a good effort. You know what I mean? Like, but physically you could see the size difference.
And I read this on Facebook this morning, which means it's true. Kim has 4 green belts now across, I think, like a national and Oceania, and the 2 worlds, all in different weights.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that's true.
And
Yeah,
she's got the ISCA world, the WMO world. Like, try and find someone who puts a WMC world title fight. Let her fight for that too.
yeah. So
She's
crazy, right? And
kind of cleared it out a bit, eh?
here's the interesting fact that I got from her in the lead up as well. So this was her 45th fight, I believe, first against the Southpaw.
Wow.
Okay. Huh. There you go. The odds.
There you go. I just that really stuck with me when she told me.
Yeah.
It's like, she's like, her demeanor and how she speaks is like, it's so reflective of how she fights. It's just like, never fought a Southpaw before, but like, it's not that different. It's just punching and kicking.
You literally sound like her.
But it's so like, that's how she fights. Like, she's not thinking about, oh, you're left-handed. I need to do this.
Super easy to corner for, hey.
Can imagine.
Oh man, like you literally just have a little bit of convo, like, you gotta do this. Oh yeah.
I noticed that in the round breaks. So she never sat down because she never gets tired. And she just really casually just like,
Just fighting just comes very naturally. to her.
But fighting comes naturally, but she's hungry also.
Yeah.
Like, still to be like 45 fights in and still want it that bad is so good.
And maybe now, and this was also, you know, she's not one to fuss about recognition. She's definitely not like she's not a social media fighter, you know, like she just wants to build her resume.
She wants to fight.
The way, and
legit.
I think in a lot of ways now he's just starting to get the recognition that she's deserved for a really long time. And, you know, all it takes is 2 world titles in different weight classes in the space of 4 weeks.
But if you're going forward, what do you reckon's next for her then? What makes sense?
Yeah,
It's hard in that there's not that many girls.
it's got to be travel. It's gonna or flying people in to fight her. Start bringing ties over for her, like for shows, and let her defend both of the world titles, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that should create options, like there's pathways that exist.
Yeah.
And you know, if for example, like, you know, a high level girl in the UK at that weight, she would have the same issue. There's no opponents. People have to invest, and now that, you know, you want a world title, you've got to get to win it from. Like, defending champions help because people can't just throw belts on a fight if they want to build someone.
Sure.
So this original fight, though, it was meant to be Lisa versus Jazzy Parr.
Do you still give Jazzy the shot and let her get in there with Kim?
You know what? That probably it kind of makes sense. I'm not sure. She might have. Does she have to defend it against someone from another country before you can defend against someone from your own country?
I mean, even if it's not for the title, it's like...
I think they're just going to be ranked in the top 5. And that's,
true.
That's it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, really, it should be like that, realistically. Because if you both suit the world title...
Was Jazzy was ranked number 8 or something, number 8 or 6 or something.
Something like that,
So yeah, she actually... I don't think she qualifies to actually... fight for that belt anyway.
Then let them fight, and then if
she
wins, she'll jump right up the rankings.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Can go again, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I would watch the two. Like, I'd watch Lisa and Kim fight again.
Yeah, for sure. Because Lisa would go into it knowing what's
smart corner and a smart fighter, and still, like, there's always, like, I think you look at fighters who spend a long time in Thailand, and there's that natural kind of expectation that they are a cut above, which is like there's a couple of things, like I think
I was in Thailand for 9 years and I'm shit.
Like, Western countries are catching up in their knowledge, like we have like really authentic Muay Thai knowledge now, but also there's just like I think you can understate adjusting to Western fighting. Like if you've really been on a high level fight scene, if you've been in stadiums, there is like a cadence change. And I thought, like, I'm not sure what Kim's plan was, but I thought there might have been a discussion of like, okay, she spent some time in Thailand, she might play for draws in rounds 1 and 2, take him. And that's what, like, you would tell someone who's fighting someone who's coming from a lengthy stadium campaign, win the first 2 rounds because they'll score them here. So even if they don't care, then you can get yourself a little head start.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's kind of, it's not like Kim starts slow anyway. No. So, but yeah, that was like, maybe there's a little bit of adjusting, and of course it's all like,
the one advantage of having a Thai trainer or Thai in your corner is the best thing about a Thai is their corner work.
Yeah.
Like, as a general rule, they're pretty average trainers a lot of the time. Like teachers, like you'll get a good pad holder and you'll get a realistic fight every time you're hitting pads.
Yeah.
Like it's not at full pace, obviously, but like the timing of stuff you'll get. But the cornering is where it's at, having a Thai trainer.
Actually, I did want to bring up is I was watching Manasak in the corner, and I don't know if you were watching when he would corner. He's like, he corners like people instruct classes. Like when he was showing something, he was actually grabbing a hold of it and moving different places. Like super, super hands-on cornering. But yeah, like a lot of detailed instruction and that was one of the most. Look, I tried to steer conversation away from making this complaint on, because Don and Tu were very vocal about it. This would have been fun with 3-minute rounds.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Now that, like, obviously, you know, that rule's been put in place now, it was just too late to do it. Like, by the time I think they found out or something, is that right? Like,
I don't know if it has even really been discussed at length. I'm sure it's not a secret. Like, they actually got the green light to do 3-minute rounds for this fight, but it was too late. With the CSA to change it. And probably you could say they'd probably both do it, but possibly too late for the fighters. Like to do, like it would have been the week before. Being like, actually now. So moving forward, I believe that's a sanction-wide decision.
Yeah, it is.
Cool. The ladies will go.
Yeah, I think Kevin made that decision.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, we don't need to harp on it because it was a great fight. I don't want to sound like I'm.
But 2-minute breaks for 2 minutes.
2 and 2 is weird.
It feels weird.
2 and 2 is bizarre.
We had that once with one of my boys, and we literally spent the first minute talking about what was in the next round. Then we'd spend the next minute talking about what we're going to do after the fight show.
Exactly.
2-minute breaks with 3-minute rounds is like the first. As a spectator, when I was newer and I was still fighting 2 minutes, like I didn't love it. Like I was a bit like, this is weird. But the first time you get to do it, like, this is sick.
I didn't do enough work to fight 2-minute rounds. Like I needed time to hurt you. To stop you in the fourth or third, or, you know.
But yeah, when you're going like even Stevens, the round break, like for me, I've never done 2 on 2 off, but I would feel really weird.
Yeah,
like, I would just feel like
I never really. I didn't. 2-minute breaks were ridiculous for me because I didn't do enough. Like I never did enough in there, so it was like, I was either super unfit, and then I was like, give me a 7-minute break, or like I was jumping in on a week's notice or whatever, like I did, and or it was I was fit enough, and I was going, just get me out there.
I'm like the opposite in the, like, sometimes I don't like the 2-minute break because I've had a lot of fights where kind of the difference maker was like I start to pull away on fitness. So I'm like, I don't want you to have 2 minutes. Yeah, for sure. I'll give away my extra minute to take away yours.
It definitely takes away that the bonus of being a super fit guy.
Yeah. And I actually think it's scarier to fight like a capable, sort of well put together fighter. You feel the difference when they have 2 minutes to regas. Yeah. Like it's fucking like, fuck, he's really coming back.
Yeah, it's like the start of a fight.
Yeah, but then you've got to take that confidence on your own. Like, so am I. Right, like, you know, that was like when I first did it, I was like, fuck, he's really like there was a noticeable difference when someone's got that start of fight power again. Yeah. But then you're like, oh wait, shit. Like my legs feel really fresh. Like he's feeling that from me as well.
Yeah. Sure.
So, cool. And again, that ended like 1774. Like the card itself put up really good. Yeah, but it was like pretty doomed. Like how like pull outs, things happened.
And really good.
Yeah,
well done.
panned out really
it was,
well.
It was a sweet show.
Yeah, so yeah, look forward to the
enough
next
for
one.
me to break out a bow tie.
Yeah.
You were fucking sexy yesterday. Hey?
I appreciate that.
Dressed to the nines.
Yeah.
40 things I would do. 'Cause I'm stronger than you.
I think next one October. I think is next.
Next one?
Yeah.
Cool.
Which I think some of these fights that look, a lot of the fights like this show, and I'm not just saying this because it's my guys putting it on. Like you could feel from an outsider that they couldn't deliver on some promises, but it wasn't like that. Like they were there to put these big fights
I
on.
think they
and-
were worried going into it, going,
Yeah.
is everyone going to go, this is fucking shit house, we wanted this and this,
Yeah.
but nah, it was actually, the fights actually lived up to it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think can be helpful. Like the second time they've had to advertise something big and international and end up with something a little bit more local. Still had a world title and stuff like that, but I think helpful for developing the show when you know you didn't need the kind of like massive.
Yeah, you didn't fail
Yeah.
when you lost like what people were talking about like being the biggest fucking matchups.
Yeah.
Probably Australia's close to almost ever had sort of thing.
Yeah.
International, non-Thai related international fights.
And now you know that people are coming will come for the product like that.
And it's
kind of
become a
base.
product.
Yeah.
Like Rebellion, it's become a product where people just know that it's going to be a well-matched show.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
now you can add in that extra flair that would come with, whether it's the Brazilians that were supposed to come or Jonathan and Senswak would be a cool fight to sort of remake. I think big things will come from that show, and I liked being back at that venue. I think that venue was pretty good.
I like
Good
it.
venue. It's good. It's got personality.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's got karaoke next door.
Karaoke next door. That's so funny.
Everyone knows I like to see it.
Yeah. Before the fights, after the fights, let's get it done.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting if they did like the Shell Harbour venue was a cool venue as well.
I like it, but it's just like sometimes it's just too in a basketball kind of stadium thing. It's just too
basketball
open.
Stadium thing's hard.
Like
Like,
it's just empty.
yeah, it's too like it was dressed up. It had the same kind of tone
Yeah.
as like last night's show, but that's better in that. kind
Low
of
ceilings
side.
is a big thing. Low ceilings is what brings personality to a
Yeah,
venue.
the acoustics is nice.
Because the
Yeah,
other
it's
side
nice.
of that's like if you put on a show like if you had the original main events, I know you'd have Queenslanders coming down, but maybe that would be cool in a basketball court setting. But also that one was in Shell Harbour, so you've already got all the Sydney crowd are driving.
Oh, they're already driving.
You got
And then you got to
PTJ
transport
organise
all the
buses.
Queenslanders and everything.
Yeah, well, they had a funny setup in the last show in that they had to move the show to Shell Harbour like at the last minute. So they put the accommodation was booked for the interstaters, so they had to get taken 90 minutes from accommodation to the venue. They had to organise transport for a 90-minute highway drive.
No thanks. That's all right. At least you're staying in a good place. So
Oh my God. I've actually been in nicer prison cells. Definitely. We're all on the accommodation, but it was a last minute thing because the sponsor is renovating.
Yeah.
Where we were supposed to stay was renovating, but man, I don't give a fuck. I've been flown into state. I get an extra day. Yeah, a bit of a holiday. Who cares? I lived in the slums of Bangkok, so fucking who cares,
it's par for the course.
Yeah. Big night, 1774.
Yeah,
Well done, Aaron
fantastic.
Greeny.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks
And-
for having me.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, cool. And I think we'll end the podcast there. It was a good recap.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for spending some time with us in person.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
That's good. So I know you got a new Instagram. You want to plug that and plug your podcast as well?
So, team, that's all with underscores between each word. Team Pinky Muay Thai, new. Because I got banned on the other one. So
These things happen.
Yeah, these things happen when you're what's the word? Like a political activist. And yeah, we got the Ring Lovers podcast. Comes out every Monday. This week we may be not out on Monday.
But this one can stand in.
Yeah, but you just jump on, send us questions. It's all interactive with you guys. So me and Matt Moss, he's a stand-up comic, ex-fighter, runs a gym. We just have a good time. Like we just discuss shit, and there's lots of swearing and lots of being pretty blunt.
A lot of hot takes,
You're not caring about people's feelings and stuff. But yeah, like we want to hit 500 followers on our Instagram page so we can do some merch.
Sign me up for some of that, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, next up in a couple of weeks, some of your Thai family will be.
Yeah, we've got the Thai
in town,
sisters
so
on
that'll be
Rebellion.
awesome.
Man, it's been over 2 years since I've seen them. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing Dad, and 2 of the sisters are fighting, and I got fighters on the same night in Adelaide, but I won't be there for it. But yeah, it's I'm hanging. You're on Rebellion, right?
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so I don't think I saw you for 2 years either. Now you'll see me twice in a fortnight.
Yeah, man. That's how it's happened. Like, me and Donnie went from like not seeing each other to like it was literally like 3 weeks in a row or something. We caught up.
No, it's really good getting this that to me was one of the feelings last night back at the show. It's like it's nice for these like it's always cool like when shows came back after lockdown to get the New South Wales community back together, and it's something you miss. But these like you forget how cool it is that you've got all these friends
man,
all over the country.
Yeah.
But it's more than that. It's you know, it sounds cliche and shit, but the Muay Thai family, man, is actually a thing. You know, like, and I miss everyone. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have a lot of people who I'd consider like just my friend. All my friends are Muay Thai people.
Yeah, I understand.
Like that's it's 20 years for me of doing nothing but Muay Thai really. So when I don't get to see people like Donnie and Andy Parnham, like new guy, we've actually just officially met properly.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm in communication with everyone all the time, but it's different getting a hug. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, actually being
Exactly.
there in person and.
Contact's a big thing.
Yeah, it is, man. Yeah. Ask my wife.
Well, on that note, remember to follow us on Instagram, like and subscribe to us on YouTube, also on Spotify. You can rate us, obviously 5 stars. All right, and we'll catch you next time.
See ya.
Yeah.
Peace.